Hey guys, Crypto Dad here, and today we're going to put some preliminary network settings onto our Debian host operating system before we go into the installation of Virtual Box and the Whonix operating system. Okay, so if you've been with me through this series, we've installed Debian on a solid-state internal hard drive with full disk encryption, and we have a boot key drive that we use to boot up the computer. Now this gives us a lot of physical security and prevents someone just sitting down at our machine, because they would need to have the key file, and even if they had the key file, they'd need to know our password, which we've chosen to be very long. So we have a lot of good physical security on the system. And when we set up the system, we set it up generically, so it doesn't have any identifying personal information in there. We just used a generic name for user and whatnot. So we're working on a pretty good, secure, private, and anonymous system. And we're going to install Virtual Box and the Whonix operating system to actually do our real work. But the host operating system needs to have some hardened security as well. And so that's what I'm going to do today. There's just a few things we need to do to tighten up our network security and decrease our network footprint so that we're less visible to the outside when we run updates and do things like that. Now keep in mind that this base operating system, this what we call the host operating system, we're not going to use on a day-to-day basis. We're not going to browse web with it or do anything like that, because that would provide a leak of information on our base system, and we want our base system to be clean. So keep in mind, I'm doing these videos for informational purposes only. So you might look at my desktop and see some things that are installed and wonder, why is he running these things? And that's because the system that I'm demonstrating on is my working system. I work on this system on a day-to-day basis, and I use it for a lot of things. This is not the hardened anonymous system that I'm talking to you guys about. So I don't want you to think that there's some leaks in my system, because that's not what this particular computer is trying to achieve. So let's get going here. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is set our clock to UTC, and that's a fairly simple thing. Let's see here. I'm just going to cut and paste a little bit, try to speed things along, and I'm going to provide these commands in the description down below so that you can easily cut and paste them into your system when you're doing this. Okay, actually before I run that, we need to become the superuser, SU, and put in your password. Okay, and once you see that you're at root, you can run this command here. Okay, and basically we just want to set this down to UTC. So we can just scroll down here. Where is it, baby? Okay. Well, apparently that's supposed to be in there. Okay. So we hit none of the above. Whoops, pardon me. Yeah, I'm looking at my other screen over here, if you'll forgive me. Come on. Jeez. Okay, here we go. None of the above. Okay, there we go. So we're going to use UTC, and we can just say OK here, and we're done. That was simple. I made it a little harder than it really needed to be, but that's fairly simple. All right, and then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to install the firewall, and the firewall is also fairly simple to install. We're going to do an apt install, and the name of the file is UFW. That is our firewall. Okay, now as you can see, I've already installed it, so there was nothing there to install, but on your system it'll just tell you that it installed this program. All right, and then we need to alter the rules configuration file, which is also fairly straightforward. Okay, so we're going to do a nano, that's our text editor, and we're going to edit a file called before.rules that lives in the etc ufw folders. Okay, we hit enter, and here we go, and what we need to do is simply go down. So the first thing we're going to need to do is W here for search. We're going to type ICMP. Okay, and this is the line that we're interested in. We're going to comment out those lines, okay, and as you can see, I've already done it as well. So what it's going to look like for you when you first get in here is this line here. And as you can see, what I'm doing here by adding the number sign is commenting these lines out. I hope you're following what's going on here. On your system, there will be no hash marks at the beginning of the line. We're going to add those hash marks to comment out these commands. If you're not familiar with programming, code runs from a file, but there are certain files that are exempt from running, and those are what we call comments. As you can see, there's a comment up here where he makes a little comment about what's going on, but we can also comment out code lines to prevent them from running. So they're basically no ops. You can achieve the same thing by just deleting the line, but in this case we might want to get back to the state that we started in, so just commenting it out gives you a way to easily get back to the way you were before. All right. Okay, and then we're just going to save that guy. Okay, and let me give you just a quick reason why. Okay, so the ICMP network traffic lines, when we don't run those, we're narrowing our potential attack surface a little further. Okay, so now that we've added those comments, we just hit Control X. Pardon me, let's get back over here. We hit Control X, we say yes, and we end up back at the command line. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is actually start up the firewall, which is also fairly straightforward. We're going to run the UFW enable. Okay, so there it goes. Firewall is active and enabled on system startup. Okay, let's see if there's anything else they want us to do. Okay, no. All right, so now we're getting down to the nitty-gritty of this particular video. Let me see if I'm still centered here. Yeah. Okay, so what we're going to do now is the apt update that runs on Debian goes out and gets updates for all of the system files and any third-party software that you've installed the Debian way from their repositories. And we're going to try to reduce our network footprint even further by using TOR to do our system updates in Debian. And this is possible. There's a couple of little commands that we can install that'll make this possible. And then we're going to alter our sources.list file to point to some onion sites that we can download our Debian updates from. Okay, that's going to make this machine a little less visible on the internet when it's running its updates. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is install a couple of programs here. So we're going to run an apt install, and the two programs we're going to put on there are TOR, which you can see right here, TOR, and then the apt-transport-tor. Okay, and we're going to hit enter. Okay, and as you can see, I've already installed those as well, so they will get installed on your machine when you run that command. All right, and here's the tricky bit. Before we do that, though, I'm going to show you these files here, and I think I may already have it myself. But what I want to do is back up this file before I work on it. So let me get over into the right directory here. We're going to put a current directory etc apt. And okay, yeah, you can see I already have the backup file created, but I'm going to show you how it goes anyway. We got our sources list file. Sources.list. Pardon me. Actually, we're going to do a copy. We're going to do a CP. Sources.list, and we're going to copy it over to a file called sources.list.bak. And that will back up our file. Did I get that? No, it looks like I misspelled sources, didn't I? Shame on me. Okay, there we go. All right. Okay. So now we can nano, and we're going to edit the sources.list file. Enter, and this is what the sources.list file looks like right now. And as you can see, we run a lot of updates from these Debian mirror sites. But then again, as we mentioned, those are on the ClearNet, so we would like to alter this to only download from Tor sites. And that is possible. Alright, so the easy way to get rid of this guy is to just hit Control K, which just deletes lines. Just hit K until all the lines are deleted. Okay, we're going to go with a empty file. Now remember, we backed this guy up, so if anything goes crazy, we can always just restore from backup. So I'm going to copy and paste these files in here. These were given to me by the anonymous guide, and these are onion sites. They may look a little strange to you, but you can see up here that these are basically websites, but they're on the I want to say dark web, deep web. They're on the deep web, and these addresses here are sort of like ciphertext. And then we've got a .onion extension on the end of them. And we can use these files to run our updates because they point to Debian mirrors that are in the anonymous TOR network. So now that we've replaced these files, and you can cut and paste from my description, we just hit Control X, and then we say yes because we want to write changes, and we hit Enter. And we are ready to go. And I think there's a couple of little other things we need to do here. Yes, we want to disable timestamps, and that's another fairly easy command to do. It's only a couple of steps. I'm going to cut and paste that guy in there. Basically, we're using the echo command to write a file in one of our system folders, the etc sys control.d. And the name of the file is going to be TCP timestamps. And I will show you. I like to do this as an illustration. I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm kind of graphically oriented. But if we go to other locations in computer, we can look at this folder. It's etc. And then we're going to the syscontrol folder, QRS. There we go, syscontrol D. Okay, there it is. Alright, so this folder is a special folder that holds configuration files. We're going to create a new configuration file with this echo command, and we're going to populate it with this one line, the net.ipv4.tcp timestamps equals 0. We're going to eliminate timestamps. So we'll just hit Enter. And as you can see over here, the file got created, and it has that one line in it. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. Now we just run the command that basically activates it, which is this guy. And I will copy and paste that guy over here as well. You can tell I'm just doing a lot of hard work here, aren't I? Okay, so this syscontrol command is just a way to reconfigure your system on the fly. So we're going to hit that, and as you can see there, it's disabled timestamps now. Timestamps are a timing mechanism when we connect to TCP/IP networking, and by disabling timestamps, we give an attacker even less information about our system and what we're doing. That'll prevents them from certain timed type attacks. You'd be surprised the kind of information that attackers can use to target you. Okay, and then the last thing we want to do is disable IP6, IPv6 networking. Most people don't really use it, but there are some vulnerabilities that attackers can exploit. And so we are going to go ahead and disable it. It's also very straightforward. We just have to edit our grub file. So we do another nano, and at this point we're going to edit the grub file, which lives at etc default grub. I can show you that. etc bcd default and grub. There it is. It probably won't open. Oh, it does. Oh, that was nice of it. Well, we can't really edit in this. It's read only, but we can edit it in nano, which is the command I'm going to do here. Alright, and basically we want to go down here to this line where it says grub command line Linux default, and we're going to paste in a little extra command, IP version 6 disable. Okay, and then I'm going to put a space there. Alright, and that's really it. That's all we're going to do. And we hit Control X, we say yes to save and hit enter, and then when we're done we want to run update grub. Update-grub. Okay, it's going to go through this little thing here, and that's it. And now we're pretty much done with that system hardening phase. Okay, so this, I hope this video didn't go too long. It's a little bit technical, but it's a very useful thing to do before we get too involved. We want to reduce our network footprint as much as possible. Okay, and now I'm just gonna, before I sign off, I'm going to demonstrate for you. Here's an apt update. Okay, and it checks Virtual Box for any updates. I did that in one of my other videos, but you'll notice here that it's getting the update information from these onion sites, and this is pretty cool stuff, guys. It might be a little bit slower when it goes across the TOR network, so that's one thing. You might, you know, like I said, this is my working machine. I'm probably going to disable this after I'm done with this video. I'm going to take it back to the way it was before, but on our stealth machine, which could be on a secondary hard drive on your desktop, or it can be in a secondary drive in your laptop, you want this machine to be totally anonymous and not tied to you in any way, and you want it to be ultra secure. And so we're going to take a little extra care in setting it up and running it and keeping it updated. So a little extra time is not going to, you know, hurt you too much. So as you can see there, it ran the apt update. And it went to all the Debian mirrors that were that had TOR addresses and ran the updates. And in fact, when we go to install software, you'll go through the same mechanism. Let's see, what was the name of that darn command, guys? My memory is fading here. That apt-transport-tor command is a very useful command that enables this whole process of updating Debian and running install and remove on the TOR network. Okay. Let's see where we go here. Okay, guys. So another good session. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to put all this stuff down in the description so that you can follow along with me. And we're really close now to getting our secure system up and running to where we can start talking about some of the things we can do with the ultimate privacy and anonymity. But like I said, this base system is just the host, okay? That's why we're setting these settings so tight. We're reducing our network footprint. And the advice is, from me and from the Anonymous Guide, don't use your base system for your typical daily, day-to-day needs, okay? You don't want to run, browse the web or download files and do anything on the base system, because we want to keep that clean, okay? So join me next time, and I did a video on downloading Virtual Box. So probably the next video I'll do will be downloading, verifying, and installing the Whonix operating system inside Virtual Box. I hope you join me. And if you like this video, give me a like, and if you want to subscribe, you'll get alerted every time I post a video. Have a good day, guys, and happy 4th of July.